So on August 1st this year, the Central Bank of Nigeria directed all banks in the country to freeze the bank accounts of international money transfer operators except three: Western Union, MoneyGram and RIA, that's RIA. And what are the concerns of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Already, of course, they sent out a circular to that effect. And why authorize only 3 out of hundreds of international money transfer operators that have applied since 2014? Well, joining me now on the program from our Abuja studios is Mr. Emmanuel Ukeje. He's the specialist advisor to the CBN governor on financial markets. Good morning to you, Mr. Ukeje. Thank you so much for joining me on the program this morning.
Good morning, Harriet. And how do you do?
I'm very well, thank you, Mr. Ukeje. Let's talk about the key concerns of the central bank regarding the operations of unregistered and unlicensed inward money transfer operators.
Thank you. Basically, if you read the guidelines for money transfer operators to operate in Nigeria, Section 2.1 states clearly and specifically that no individual or company can operate money transfer business in Nigeria without being duly licensed by the central bank. And what the central bank did was actually to enforce that section of the guideline. And all other money operators that were not licensed by the CBN were actually asked to regularize their position. And that is why you saw that those, I will not call them, illegal money transfer operators were actually banned from operating in Nigeria.
But then, taking a look at those guidelines, this is a 19-page guideline. Of course, most of these operators have been going through it and they've come up with a number of issues. And now the central bank met with some of these operators last week. What new thinking and approach is the regulator likely going to take? Because, of course, most of these operators are not particularly happy to be out of business.
We are not also happy keeping them out of business. All we are saying is that they should do the right thing. And let me state that the meeting we had with the operators last week was not actually to review the guidelines. The operators came and to actually express their support for the CBN action and promise to actually fulfill all the obligations on the basis of which the central bank will lift the ban on the operation in Nigeria. As you know, we are all aware of the fact that money transfer activity is very, very critical. A lot of countries have leverage in terms of funds being transferred into their country. And I will tell you, if you look at the data from the World Bank, you will see that international money remittances to developing economy actually accounts for about 3 times what you receive from official development agencies. So no country can ignore that. All we are saying is that we need to ensure that particularly international agencies follow due processes, because a lot of the claim by most of them is that they were registered in the countries of their operation, but they need to be duly registered in Nigeria. And for you and I, the concern is there that money laundering issues need to be taken care of. And we also know there's also terrorism financing through some of these means. We want to be sure that those monies that are coming into this country are free of all those hitches, so that we can be sure that we can utilize effectively money that comes into Nigeria without fear that it was going to be financed, is going to finance terrorism, or that they are drug money. So that is one of the reasons, some of the reasons why you think that we need to do a serious background check to ensure that we're on the right track.
Mr. Ukeje, it is estimated that diaspora remittances into the country was about $21 billion as at 2015. Don't you think that this new policy will reduce the amount, especially since diaspora remittances is one of the ways that we're looking at also funding the interbank foreign exchange market?
no, Harriet, let me say specifically, we are not saying that diaspora funding should not come in. Like I told you, more IMTOs are going to be licensed, but the issue is that we don't want to, because we want diaspora fund to come in and in the process compromise the security of the financial system and impliedly also compromise the security of the nation. They are going to be registered after due check, and I can assure you that the central bank, in due course, in the shortest possible time, will release the names of additional IMTOs that can operate in Nigeria. It is not restricted to the three you mentioned. Those three, yes, they passed the initial test, and mind you, being new in Nigeria, we also did that as a pilot test. And those ones, we have learned a couple of lessons from them, which are also going to include, in terms of monitoring, the new IMTOs to be registered. So we are not stopping remittance into Nigeria. It is critical. We know the role of international remittances into any country. So the central bank is not stopping that. We encourage that, but we just want to do the right thing. Thank you.
In doing the right thing, Mr. Okeje, could you just talk to us about some of the incentives that the Central Bank of Nigeria will be using to try to attract inflows?
Yeah, basically, if you know the core principle of the IMTOs, which is basically transparency, because they have to be transparent and not just being transparent, they also need to be competitive, and the consumers need to be protected. So, and also need to have good risk management framework. So for us, we have ensured that in terms of whoever is remitting his money, that is not going to be shortchanged, and they are going to be remunerated appropriately. And also the receivers at this end are also going to be given the appropriate pricing, because it is very, very critical that consumer is protected. So, and the central bank is going to ensure that every consumer that is benefiting from the IMTO transfer is adequately protected in order to ensure enjoy the full benefit of the money that has been transferred to him or her from overseas.
But then how do they get the assurance that the monies are still going to be coming in? Because you see, this policy, just like many others that has come out from the Central Bank of Nigeria, has created uncertainty among investors, both domestic and international. So what assurance do they have that this remittance space is going to continue to be liquid?
Yes, I can assure you that, Harriet, that sooner than later, you will hear from the central bank that some of those who met the criteria for registration have been registered, and then they can enjoy the supply which they have been enjoying. It is not, because I think I want to correct the impression. Don't let us say things come out from central bank. When central bank issues any circular or takes any decision, we have weighed all the odds, and all the decisions taken by the central bank based on available statistics to the central bank is always in the interest of the country first. The central bank has no personal intention of actually disenfranchising people, but the economy must be taken. Because let me tell you, Harriet, all these people that are doing this were duly registered in their country of operation. You, as a Nigerian, even if you establish an IMTO, you cannot transfer money to any country without registering over there. That is what the central bank is just saying, that, look, let us know those we are doing business with and ensure that they are doing the right thing without plunging us into any unforeseen problems in the future.
But then, you see, we're trying, most Nigerians are still complaining. Even my last guest, one of my guests on the program who was talking about accessing forex, was still talking about, inability to access forex. And we're looking at this market trying to be as liquid as possible. Some have alleged that the CBN is over-regulating the forex market, including the inflows. How would you react to this?
No, the CBN, I say that is contrary to what is happening. If we say we are over-regulating the market, when we are operating under a flexible exchange rate, where people are free to bring in their money and then get a very, very good rate for their pound, unlike before now, you remember what happened before the central bank lifted the former foreign exchange system. And I'm sure when we actually announced this system, it was hailed all over the world. And you also announced this morning, you have seen that the inflows have started coming in. From your news this morning, I saw that yesterday we had a very high inflow of about 270 million. And with time, we expect that this will be coming, and that is because that is an approval of the policies of the central bank, which means that investors' confidence are beginning to return. And as that progresses, we are going to begin to see supply in the foreign exchange market. And of course, that means eventually that people will now have easier access to foreign exchange transactions. So it is not, CC Bank will not deliberately stifle businesses, but everything we are doing is based on the present circumstances, what is best that could be done to ensure that businesses continue to run and the foreign exchange continues to come in. So that is what we are just doing. And we are not oblivious of the fact that in an attempt to do this, we must also take into consideration the security, like I said, of the financial system and that of the nation at large.
In ensuring and protecting the security of the financial system and the nation at large, the Central Bank of Nigeria has gone ahead to do a lot of things in that regard. And you mentioned it, one of the most important, introducing a flexible foreign exchange market. But then there's still serious complaints about scarcity of foreign exchange. What exactly is the problem?
Yes, Harriet, when you mentioned, you see, before, now, central bank was the sole supplier. Well, let me not say sole. We supply the bulk of the forex. And it is expected that with the lifting of that system and flexibility coming into the exchange rate, it is going to attract. These things take quite some time. And don't also forget the fact that for a long period of time, at least almost 16 months, that people felt that the exchange rate system was not actually adequate or proper. They held on. And now that that has been opened, we are beginning to see inflows, and definitely with time and as confidence begins to grow and the yields are good, we begin to see that there will be foreign inflows, foreign investors coming in gradually, and that will improve the supply. The main issue is supply. And like I said, some of the other time we met, you see, we don't print dollar, we just have to earn it.
Okay.
And part of the thing is the diversification. The government, everybody has taken that on, head on, that we should be able to diversify and also
All right, Mr. Okeje, thank you so much
So it's supply,
for joining
and
me
the
on the
supply will
program.
come either from overseas or by...
And of course, sharing the perspectives from the central bank with us. Well, Business Morning continues in just a moment. Stay with us.